Okay, today we're going to talk about Albino, aka Whispering Death, aka Night of the Askari. Albino came out in 1976. It came out on media. It was an early media home video release, and it was under the title Albino in the United States. I think it played in Europe under that Night of the Askari, a bloody revenge tale set in South Africa, set in Rhodesia, uh, about a policeman whose fiancee is murdered viciously by the titular Albino, which is this albino African terrorist who is, you know, uh, rabble rousing and growing a kind of a rebel army and trying to kill the colonial, attacking the colonials, the white colonials. And so this white policeman, his white wife, fiance rather, played by Sybill Danning, is murdered, and it sets him off on a bloody path of revenge, where he begins to him and his faithful servant chase the albino across the bush, the African countryside, which is actually not really bushy; it's more really kind of rocky. There's lots of really weird rock formations in this film, and they chases him uh, toward a violent conclusion. At the same time, this guy is being chased by the African the police, who are are trying to not have the whole thing explode, because they don't want vigilantes. And so this guy's boss, played by Christopher Lee, is trying to pursue him and catch him before he murders the albino. So a great revenge tale, very, politically, racially charged, about things that were going on in South Africa with, but I mean, it's an exploitation film at the same time. It's kind of like it's a it's a West German film. It's directed by a West German director, Jürgen Gosler, and so it has that kind of West German type of uh, feel, exploitative feel. It's difficult to describe. I'm kind of faltering on my, but it's just like you know it when you see it. You hear that that jaunty West German music, and it's shot very well. It has this very precise, you know, I believe there is a Blu-ray of this available. And the VHS, the original VHS, and I think there is a copy of that on YouTube, looks quite bad, but the high definition version of this looks really, really, really quite incredible. And so, I mean, the this type of revenge tale in colonial Rhodesia is very good. The guy that they get to play the albino, oh my God, was he a real actor? He's dubbed in the film, but his teeth are like they're like literally like there's 2 inches between every one of his teeth. And then the um, the scene that he has with Civil Danning, where he's like literally slobbering, that would not fly in in the modern society. And then they even pulled Trevor Howard in this film, the late great Trevor Howard, from Superman and Gandhi and whatever, Shaka Zulu, and all those older great films, as the father figure, the father of the young woman who was murdered by the uh, the albino, and which sets off the guy on his path of revenge. And oh my God, Sybil Danning's in this film. Oh my God, this film was prime Sybil Danning, and she's riding her horse, as I said, through these rocks, and there's lots of these crazy, beautifully shot film. Um, it reminds me, some of the shots remind me of that film Figures in a Landscape, where they're chasing across the countryside. The plot doesn't resemble it at all, but there's just some shots of it, of the rocks and the countryside, and we're very very, very cool, very cool. And my God, prime Sybill Danning. But the scene between Sybill Danning and the guy, the dude, the albino at night. Oh man, that's vicious. That's pretty bad. Um, and it would not. It is totally un PC and would not fly in our modern society. Christopher Lee, this is one of his best bit parts. He has a little bit part here as the police chief who was, trying to, his police officers tell him, hey, there's something going on. We've got terrorists in this area. He's like, well, there's no evidence of it. Well, the policeman's like, we've got reports. There's this guy, this albino, who's gathering this army and going to attack the colonials. And he's like, well, so Christopher Lee has this guilt that he didn't do enough to stop it, and then he has this obligation of friendship to his friend that he now has to track down. So it's an interesting dynamic, and Christopher Lee really plays it to the hilt. There's one wonderful bar scene where all the boys are at night and all the guys here in town, and they're drinking and playing bar games and hopping over each other, and the rafters are literally coming down and breaking, and then they get the siren, and then there's an attack. Beautifully staged scene there, and you just realize that this is they're bringing a bit of their society to the Africa, and then they're only a siren away from total panic. So great film. I don't know how. Again, it seems a little hysterical and exploitative, and it's not a realistic fact-based treatise on South African life. It's I think kind of highly fictionalized, but mainly just a really good revenge tale with some great performances and some prime Sybill Danning. So that's worth it.